Good day. Welcome again to Blakey Speaks. As I promised, today we will be talking about the period prior to being diagnosed with HIV. Um, I'm not going to drag it to, let's say, 14, 15, but the period where I was actively in relationships. So, yeah, um, one of the things that come to mind when I speak about that period, the period prior to being diagnosed, are the years 1996, 97, where we used to get people coming to school, to our technical and the Eastern Cape Technical then, to educate us about HIV and about sexual and reproductive health. I remember I was one of those guys who used to say HIV does not exist. But also, I said it can't get me. And I would go out and say, okay, if I have many girls, I will be basically chasing it, and it will run away from me rather than infecting me. So basically, before I was diagnosed with HIV, I never really took it seriously, nor did I take precautions to protect myself. I'm not saying by any means that people that are HIV positive were people that were promiscuous. No. But what I'm saying is, for me, I never took precautions. I never took HIV seriously. I never thought I would be infected. Um, I used to joke with my friends about it. I remember even the people that used to come to the Technicon then to educate us, we didn't believe that they were really HIV positive. We thought they were being paid for it. So, in essence, that period for me is a period where I was just careless. I was just living my life the way I wanted. I didn't care. I didn't care if I used protection or not. To an extent that I don't even know, nor do I even care, or who infected me, or who, where, or how, or when I got it. I can't even point at one or two people, because of the behavior that I was involved in. So basically, for me, when I talk about that period, I talk of a period where I didn't care. Basically, I was just a nuisance, if I can put it that way. Um, I dated multiple partners, but again, I want to emphasize this. During that period, um, it was a period where there were very, very few people, extremely few people that were that were disclosing their statuses. So I was lucky to have people that would come to our school to educate us. Uh, but I'm not sure whether it was because of how our mentality with my peers was, or it was a matter of how it was introduced that made us not to look at it. Some of the things that stand out between those 2 or 3 years that I'm talking about, was the grouping that we were, at school. We were the popular guys, guys who would go to school in cars, guys who were, fashionable, guys who thought they were the in thing, if I can put it that way. Um, so when I then got tested for the first time, I don't remember even going to check for my results, because for me HIV was a distant disease that I wouldn't have. Um, then I got tested again, when I was in hospital now, and when the diagnosis came on the day, I remember it was a Thursday morning, when I was told that I'm HIV positive. It was around 7 o'clock in the morning, and the doctor gave me 3 months to live. Uh, that day was the turning point in my life. I was in ICU, had other problems like TB and pneumonia that I was admitted for. So that day for me was a turning point, because Immediately after I was told, 2 hours later, my mother came to visit me in hospital. And I told her the news. The moment I told her, I think a few minutes later, my mom left, and she didn't say a word. Um, and to me, that was a sign of rejection. So I thought she had rejected me. And my doctors who were taking care of me at the hospital can attest to the fact that between that morning visit, and the time my mother came back to visit me again at 3 o'clock in the afternoon, my condition had worsened to an extent that they said they had done anything or everything in their power. It was up to me to leave or not to leave. So I think what was going through my mind at that time was, if my mother has rejected me, remember, this is the woman that I was looking up to as my single parent, as my only parent that I had. So if she rejected me, that meant the whole family will reject me. So I had given up within that short period. Then what happened thereafter, when she came back around 3 o'clock in the afternoon on the same day, she came back with a family friend who was a nurse and who had information or knowledge about HIV. And the first words that my mom said was that, my son, I want you to get out of this hospital so that I can take care of you. Those are the words that gave me courage to leave, because here was the one woman that I valued in my life saying, come out of this hospital. I need to take care of you. You are my child. That assurance of support from my mother was the thing that made me to have a positive mentality or a positive mindset. So Sister Brooke, who was the nurse that came with my mother, then gave me information on HIV and told me that there were people that were living with HIV and had been living for a very long time, um, who were not even on ARVs at that time, were not on treatment. And she told me of people, stories of hope, if I can put it that way. People that were sick and who were now active, living their lives and going on with their lives. I remember my mom asked me if she should tell my stepfather and the whole family, the whole China family, and I gave her permission to do so. She then called. I think when she left me that afternoon, she called my stepfather and she called my family, my grandfather, and then the rest. Again, the support that I got from my family, starting with my stepfather, who called immediately. He got the call from my mother and gave me words of encouragement and words of support, telling me that he still loved me the way he loved me before he knew that I was HIV positive. And the calls that came from family members and the visits from family members who were around Queenstown at that time. When it was time for visiting in the evening, the visits that were there, and everyone telling me to get out of hospital so that they could take care of me. I remember the first person from outside Queenstown who came was my grandfather, who came the following morning all the way from Cape Town. And this is a man that I look up to. This is a man who has shaped who I am. This is a man that I believe made me to be the man that I am today. And he came in person to tell me that he loves me and to assure me of his support. Now, I had my mom, I had my stepfather, I had my family members, I had my grandfather. I had my grandmother who had come through as well to tell me that she loves me. And I think the following Saturday, almost all members of my family were there, assuring me of their support. Those who couldn't be there physically were calling. And immediately I got that support from my family. My condition changed drastically. I responded to treatment. I started having a positive outlook. And my mother didn't end with Sister Brokwe. Um, there's also two people that I would like to specifically mention here. The late Bob Pato, who was the director of Ukamba projects in Queenstown, together with someone else that he worked with, Sisanele Mhlebi, who those two people would come to my hospital, to the hospital, to visit me and to encourage me. They took me by the hand and showed me that I could live. They gave me hope. After I was discharged from hospital, I remember before I was discharged, the likes of Ulunga Funani, who was my friend in a Technicon at that time and still my friend today, they came to visit me in hospital. And Abo CEO, people that would come and visit, and I disclosed to them immediately that I was HIV positive. And the support that they gave me, again as friends, was just out of this world. So even before I got out of hospital, I already had a support base. People that I called friends, people that were family who were supporting me. And there was nothing more that I was looking forward to than going home and being with people that loved me and cherished me, people that wanted me to live. So when I was discharged, I remember my cousin Ulundi. He used to look at me and he would encourage me to take walks every single day. I could see the concern in his face, but also the love that was there. From my entire family, the China family, the support and the love was there, and I needed nothing else, basically. So when I was discharged again, as I was recovering now at home, being given all the support, I remember the first person that I met who was involved in the fight against HIV was Utandlolo Toho, who was with his late wife, Simpiwe. I remember the words that I said to Simpiwe on that day, that I had just been told a few days ago or a few weeks ago that I too have the same thing that you have. And Utandlolo laughed at me. Both Simpiwe and Utandlolo laughed at me. And Simpiwe asked, "What thing do you have?" I resisted, but at the same time, I felt at ease because this is a person that had been educating me with or about HIV, and I said, "I'm HIV positive," and they said, "Was that too hard to say?" And it wasn't. Those are the first people that helped me or helped me by the hand. Um, from there, I met quite a number of other people within a short space of time who were in the fight against HIV. Um, the likes of Abonguleko Nesi, Tembi, Zungu, who worked for NAPWA, Onomfundo, Kotyeni, quite a number of people that I met. The late Noctula Mkolodela, people that I credit with my life, with instilling a positive mentality and a positive mindset in my life. So the first weeks after diagnosis, I never had anyone who was rejecting me, and I didn't even keep quiet about it. I spoke about it. Yes, it felt quite weird that almost every single day, every time I read a newspaper, there was HIV. Every time I opened, I switched on the TV, there was HIV. Every time I listened to the radio, there was HIV. So basically, it was like everything that was being spoken about in the country was HIV. At times, I would feel overwhelmed, but the support that I was getting grounded me. It made me realize that people loved me. It made me realize that people valued me. But at the end of the day, it made me realize that I had everything to live for. So I remember even when I started the first time I disclosed publicly, it was on the 9th of August, that very same year, I think 3 months after I was diagnosed. It was at a gathering at the sports center in Queenstown. It was a women's gathering. And I was not even scheduled to disclose there or to talk. I just asked for a platform from Noctula. I had accompanied Noctula as she was the one person who used to go around disclosing. I just asked for a platform and I stood up and I spoke. I disclosed. One of the reasons why I disclosed is the fact that people were looking at those who were disclosing and feeling pity for them because some of them were skinny, ill looking, and all that. I was none of that. I was not skinny. I was not looking sick. I was just as healthy and coming from a family that was viewed as being well off. At that time, many people used to say HIV was a disease for poor people, and I wasn't that. And I was already in tertiary, um, so I felt it in me that I had to talk. I had to educate people that HIV is not for poor people. HIV is not for people that have nothing. It's not for people that um, are not knowledgeable or are not educated. And when I stood up and disclosed, I think people didn't believe me up until my mother stood up and said, "Yes, what he's saying is true." And after that, I remember they didn't talk about it. It was something that was not spoken of. I would jokingly say, "Oh, I'm well except for HIV," and people would be like, "Why do you keep on bringing this thing up?" And I enjoyed doing that. I enjoyed bringing it up to shock people in a way, but at the same time, it was easier for me to joke about it and to talk about it because I knew my family was supportive. I knew my friends were supportive. I knew that the community that I was living around was supportive because nobody rejected me outright. So for me, the lesson that I want you guys to take from this session is that sometimes it doesn't matter how you got it or when you got it. What matters is what happens when you are told. This is the crucial process towards healing, that is acceptance. If you accept that you are living with HIV and you don't ask yourself questions that will have no answers, you are going to live a very beautiful life. I accepted that I'm living with HIV. Beyond accepting, I had support. I had people that were supporting me. People that were saying, "We love you. We don't care about the virus that is in you. It doesn't define who you are, nor does it make you less of a person. We care about Upleki, the person that we've been friends with. We care about Upleki, our son. We don't care about the virus. But because we care about Upleki, we are going to support you. We are going to make sure that we give you everything that is needed for you to survive." Um, the third lesson is that if you talk to people that are accepting of your situation, chances are you are not going to experience all the negativity. Yes, down the line, there has been cases of rejection and negativity that came about. But they found me strong because the lending platform that I got, immediately I was diagnosed, was the platform of support. So I was supported by people, I was loved, and I accepted that this is a virus that I'm living with and it lives in me. Therefore, I control it. It doesn't control me. So I want us to reflect, because some of the things that are killing people still is stigma, it's non-acceptance, it's discrimination and rejection. So I want us to reflect using this story that we just had, my story, on the role of acceptance and the role of support in healing a person and ensuring that the person lives. So yes, here I am. It's been more than 20 years of living with HIV. Um, I'm still alive. I'm still healthy. I still joke about it, and I still sometimes I forget that I have it, except when I have to take treatment. So basically, I live to tell my story and to encourage people to live and have fulfilling lives. Tune in again on our next episode of Black Speaks, where we'll be talking about the period now from diagnosis up to me taking treatment. Signing out. Thank you and bye. Oh yeah, please do not forget to subscribe to the channel and share the channel so that people can get to hear my story. Thank you so much.